Hello, hello. So today we are going to turn this right here into a vectorized image, right? Which can be used for maybe a coloring book, maybe like a shirt or print on demand or whatever, right? So the first thing I did was I went to Leonardo.ai to use, for example, there's this one which I really liked, and then there's this one which I'm going to download right now to use as an example as well. And the prompt that I used was black and white line art, Christmas, reindeer, cute coloring book page, white background, strong outline, vector illustration. So something like that, which gives you a little bit more like this, right? So there are a few other ones that I chose. For example, we have this one, which is the original one I used in the other video, which I was using it in Inkscape instead of Adobe Illustrator. Then there's this one, which I actually did something that looked pretty cool. This one looks good. There's a few different ones, right? So let's try this. Let's go ahead and go into Adobe Illustrator. The first one I'm going to try this with is going to be this one, right? I like this one because the contrast is very pronounced, right? So you can tell here it's kind of grayish, and then you have main image. So the first thing you want to do is one, make sure you have this, right? If you don't, it's just window and control. You're also going to want to have image trace, but again, we're going to look into that. So in Adobe Illustrator, you want to go to image trace right here. Click on image trace. And then you see it all depends on your computer as well. This can take some processing power, but it's done an okay job. Now, if you want to adjust the settings, you want to click here, image trace panel, or again, window, image trace. And then the one I use for these type of designs is black and white. The paths, corners, noise, I'm going to turn down noise so I can get a little bit more detail. So if you notice, that does change quite a bit. There's these, which I don't like too much. And you can go, this is actually perfectly fine right now. And you can go in and adjust it to like clean it up a bit. Now, another thing you can do is raise the threshold. Now, if you raise the threshold, you do start to lose some details, right? So if we go back to the original image, it's like this, right? You have some shadows here and everything, which are not really going to come up in the image trace. But if we turn down the threshold to a certain point, you start to get some details and lose others. So if we turn it very far down, as you notice, again, you do start to lose quite a bit of detail. And then if we turn it all the way up, or almost all the way up, again, you lose some detail. Now, you may want it like this, or you may not. So let's go ahead and turn it down to 100. I like that. So maybe a little bit more because of these little thing, like these parts right here. So let's turn it up a little bit more. There we go. So this is good. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as is, right? There is quite a bit to clean up, but again, it all depends on the detail of the image you want. Now, what I did was I clicked expand, right? So object over here, expand. And then once you expand this, you can close this and you have this group of well, objects, right? Now, one thing I like to do is I like to right click, ungroup, and that gives me this option to just click on certain things, right? So if you notice, I remove this and I end up losing quite a bit of the detail. So I'm going to go ahead and go here, add a stroke. Let's black stroke, wide. turn it into a black stroke so we get an out. And ta-da! So there are some things you don't really want to have a stroke on. For example, the eyes. So no. Right? This is where it gets tedious. You can start cleaning up certain things, right? But you want to be careful. That's why when I do vectorize, let's undo quite a bit. All right, so this is before expanding it, right? Before clicking expand. Let's go over here. Do one more time. There we go. So one thing I like to do is I like to use strokes. And with strokes, it can cause some uniqueness to it, right? It does cause these lines to become a little bit more thick. Now I'm going to leave it as 1 pixel and then expand it and do the same thing again. So let's go to Ungroup. Let's delete this. And let's change the stroke color black. All right. Now, if you notice, it's filled in with white, but it doesn't have a stroke, right? So if you press Shift X, it changes the fill to the stroke, and then just change the color, and voila. So this is a little bit easier. Again, X, change the color, and there you go. So this is one way of, and this is one image, right? So I'm gonna close this. I'm not gonna save it because I'm gonna work on that more. Now, if we go to, let's see, which one was it? I think it was this one. I love this one because the all right, you know what? I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna do two examples, right? So there's this one and then this one. This one, if you notice, there's a completely white background, and then there's the image itself. So let's do this again. Image trace. Okay, yeah, it's quite a big image, so it is going to take a little bit more time. And the higher the resolution, the better the image trace will be. But again, it'll take a little bit more time. So if you notice right away, it's really cool. So let's do strokes. All right, let's do two things. I'm gonna leave it at 1, right? 1 pixel. And once it's finished doing this, I'm also going to click ignore white. So ignore white. And let's see how that turned. All right, so now if I press Control Shift D, what is going to happen is that it's going to remove the background, the white background. Okay. You can also go here and then high transparency grid. So if you notice, this actually looks really cool. I like this one. So I'm not really going to do much. I'm not going to adjust it or anything. I like that. Now I'll go here and expand. And there you go. I have this whole image, but I have each individual vector object. So again, I can go into group, and then I can choose which ones I want to keep, which ones I want to delete. I can clean it up. And this is a quick way to to turn an image into a vectorized image. Let's do this one again as well. Ooh, this one's good. Again, what really helps is if you notice this one, the reason why it turned out so well right away is because, one, it's all a similar shading, right? And it does have the outline pronounced a lot more. If I go back to Adobe Illustrator, there's barely anything I can adjust on this. I could just do it, leave it as is, right? And then add a few things if I want. Let's raise the threshold on this one a little bit more. Um, Actually, that's good. That's good. I like this one. So strokes. Let's see what the strokes does. It makes it a little bit more pronounced. Again, I am going to turn down the stroke. Let's go to ignore white, and voila. I'm going to expand, and let's ungroup. Then again, you can just start cleaning up this. Instead of going in, using the pen tool, and using the pen tool and just tracing over the entire image, this is a quick way to vectorize your images. Delete this. And again, there are a few things you can clean up on this. But if you notice, depending on the image that you have, you may have an easier time or it may be a little bit more difficult. So if you notice, this one was a quick cleanup. With the loose ends and everything. I could just go in and edit a few things, and that's so. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, share this video with anybody you think could really use this, and go ahead and share in the comments. I want to see what you guys come up with. So yeah, enjoy, and I hope you have an amazing day, amazing evening, wherever you are, and stay blessed. Cheers.